Yeah, hi there. These comments, I'm not going to use your name for privacy purposes, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons, and I'm just reading your paper right now, so let's take a look at the question. The question is, it has recently been announced that a new movie theater may be built in your neighborhood. Do you support or oppose this plan? Why? Use specific reasons and details to support your answer. So the problem really with yours, you have some fairly good writing skills, but it's the first two paragraphs, you're not really addressing the question at all. You're saying, I believe that having movie theaters everywhere are a good idea to us as spectators. And then you're using everywhere to include neighborhoods, but that's probably a little bit too broad. And then here in your next paragraph, you're really talking about why people go see movies. But if you go back to the question is not why do people enjoy seeing movies. The question is, should you have a movie theater built in your neighborhood? That is specifically the question. So these two paragraphs here don't really directly address the question. If you change this to neighborhood, then that would work. Maybe you could do this, and then you really start to more directly address the question here. The problem is this particular paragraph, it has too many different ideas. You say it's the best thing to have in your neighborhood, but why is that true, right? So your essay, unfortunately, doesn't really have a clear pattern of organization, and especially one that goes back to this particular question. So what you have to do as a writer, you have to look at what the writing task is first of all. Make sure you understand that, and then make sure you organize your writing in response to that. So let's compare. Let's take a look at two paragraphs for a minute here, right? So let's take your paragraph and let's compare it with this. So you say these days a lot of movie companies try their best to produce and direct movies as much as they can to reach the best stage and their others rival. Also, theaters are everywhere, so these companies have no problems where their movies are going to be shown. I believe that having theaters everywhere are a good idea for us as spectators. This writer says a movie theater is a place that gives entertainment to many people. But if a new theater is built in my neighborhood, I will oppose this plan due to the potential hazards of its construction, the noisy traffic it would create in my residential area, and the unsightly trash the moviegoers are likely to throw by my house. So notice how this writer includes specifically key points from the question. Theater, neighborhood here. And then the writer has a very specific thesis, unlike yours. Your thesis just says it's a good idea to us as spectators. You can't organize a paper around a good idea. That's too vague, it's unclear. There's no way to specifically frame your body paragraphs on that idea. That's one of the reasons I think why your essay doesn't have a clear pattern of organization. So there's not really a lot I can do with your essay. I mean, I'd pretty much have to rewrite the whole thing from scratch in order for your paper to work. But what I want to do right now is I'm just going to go through one of your paragraphs and make some corrections so you can get a little more familiar with the kinds of errors that you're making. So you say, first of all, in the last decade, I'd put a comma here, the majority of people love to watch interesting movies. So here, you can put a semicolon here to avoid that comma splice. Some of those people ready to pay thousands of dollars to be the first person who attends the first show for new movies. Here you need to have a period so you don't have what's called a comma splice. It's a sentence structure error. For example, you need to have a comma here, not a colon. A colon is used when you're introducing items in a series. See, for example, one of my friends, because it's one singular, you want to say, is a movie addict. And he knows, because this is no longer a question, you have to say what the exact date is to release his favorite movie. In addition, nowadays, I would say whatever mall, because you're saying here I, right? So whatever mall I go, I will find AMC theaters. Well, instead of maybe you can say whatever mall spectators go, they will find. Spectators is someone who watches something. That's a little bit more formal than saying you. It's probably not the best thing to use a you point of view in this type of writing because it's instructional. It's a little too informal. So in addition, nowadays, whatever mall spectators go to, they will find AMC theaters. No apostrophe needed there. To me, you want to say here a comma, I choose AMC theaters. No commas needed because this company is the best theater ever. But here's my problem. What does this have to do with the question? The question is whether or not you'd have a movie theater built in your neighborhood. What are the advantages or disadvantages of having a theater built in your neighborhood? How does any of this information relate to that? You're just talking about why people watch movies. We already know why people watch movies. There's nothing new there. The question is, do you think a theater should be built near your neighborhood? That is the question, and you're not addressing that question. So to me, I choose AMC Theater because this company is the best theater ever. But why? Once you make that statement, you now have to support that. Then you move on to, on the other hand, some people go to theaters to have fun. I don't see how this idea is opposite of what you have said. So I would say maybe in addition, it seems like you're adding to the idea, not creating a different idea. I would probably get rid of this. Just say this. Some people go to the theaters to have fun with their friends and family, no matter if the movie is good or not. What if you said this? That would probably work. Then you have to worry about putting this at the end. But I went ahead and corrected so you can see you do have some problems with your sentence structure and your word choice. You can see what's going on there. But that isn't the biggest issue. The biggest issue is everything that you said here, it doesn't really relate to the question that you're being asked. So basically, you have 112 words that don't really answer the question that's being addressed. You see what I'm saying? Okay, now let's take a look at our score here and see what you will get. So I have to go to the rubric. It's going to be tough. If you address the topic in the task, you will get at least a 3. If you address the topic and task well, although some are not fully explained, you didn't even address the topic in the task. So limited development of ideas as they relate to the topic and task of the writing. Inadequate organization or connection of ideas. That second paragraph has nothing to do with the writing task. You have problems with word choice or word forms. You have some problems with sentence structure and or usage. All right, so your score here, I'm going to put you at, you did write a lot, you got a lot of development and things, so I want to give you some credit for that. So I'm going to give you 2.50 out of 5, 17 points out of 30. For the purposes of our class, 2.75, this is going to put you at 73% on this assignment. All right, so what do? My recommendation is go to my speaking lesson. Actually, it's writing lesson number 8. I think is a good lesson. But you also need to work on creating more sharply focused thesis statements. You don't really have, I think you're struggling with that. You're struggling with your thesis and also your topic sentences. So you can learn about those things by going to the writing part of my course. I think that's going to be very useful for you. And specifically, if we go back to let's go back to my website for just a minute. So I'm going to go back here. Let's go back. I want to go to the writing section, show you what you can do right now. Okay, I think here, this is where you really blew it, is lesson number 1. So take a look at this lesson. Also, lesson number 4, you really need to go through this one again. Creating sharply focused thesis statements for the independent writing task. I think that's important. Also, writing effective topic sentences, lesson 5.1. Take a look at that. I think that's going to be very important for you. Also, lesson number 7.1. Let me make sure it's the one I'm looking for. Yes, this is good. Check this one out too. Now, once you go through those lessons, it looks like it's going to take you some time. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 writing practice tests before you feel you have it right and you feel like you can really organize your writing under time constraint. So what I'd like you to do between now and the final exam, I want you to pick maybe 4 or 5 writing practice tests here. You can take them on your own free time. Once you finish it, send me a quick email. I'll send it over to my teaching assistant to score, and hopefully you can do much better on some of these practice tests and work out any of the problems you're having right now. And then when you take the final later on at the end of the course, you'll be better. So I highly recommend that. I'm not saying it's a requirement, but I think if you do 4 or 5 practice tests, you will definitely get better. The good thing with your writing is you have a lot of ideas and you can get them in your paragraphs, but you're not organizing ideas very well and you're not connecting what you're saying back to the writing task. So if you do 4 or 5 writing practice tests, you'll probably get better at that whole process. You'll find improvements, no doubt. I just had a student at my website this last, about 2 weeks ago. His writing score was about 22 points out of 30. And I error corrected just what I did with yours. I error corrected 2 of his, an independent and integrated writing practice tests. He went through and followed all my suggestions. He did all of it. He retook the TOEFL exam, and guess what? His writing score went from 22 to 27. I'm not kidding you. His name is Jalark. All right, I guess that's it. So anyway, thank you for completing the practice test, and I look forward to reading your next one when you do the final exam.